So every Thursday, starting this week, we're going to have a practice AP exam. Now, usually my tests are 100 points, but you're going to notice that this is only 25 points because we're going to have 4 of them. And when we add them all together, it'll add up to a regular test score. Okay. The way that this AP test is going to work is, let's say this week you guys get like maybe, I don't know, a 70% on the test. Well, next week, let's say you get a 75%. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the 75% next week, but I'm also going to change your grade from this week's test to a 75%. So that's your incentive to keep growing. Every time you get a better score than the week before that, I'll bump it up. Now, if you get a score that's worse than the week before it, I will not bump the previous score down. But I'm just giving you guys a little bit of an incentive to keep pushing, trying, stressing to get a better and better score on these. The goal is I want you guys to get used to this. The AP tests that I'm going to be assigned, the practice AP test I'm giving you, they are designed to look like real AP tests. The only difference is the real AP test is 3 hours long, I would say. This one is obviously only going to be an hour long. But other than that, the timing is the same. You're looking at about maybe 3 minutes to 4 minutes per question. You may not know what to expect. Stuff could be coming out of left-hand field for you. That's just how it's going to feel a little bit. I do try to gear it towards what we learned in the past week. So I'll give you one little hint. You are going to see a slope field differential equation type FRQ on this next AP test because that's what the FRQ notes were, and that's what your FRQ practice problems for this week are. So I try to gear them a little bit towards what we learned, but mainly I want it to just be like a raw test, okay? And so you guys are going to get the feel for the pacing, the types of questions you're going to see. And I do want to warn you, you're going to see some things you're like, what the heck? Mr. Bailey never gave me one just like that. That doesn't mean that we haven't gone over the content. It just means I haven't presented the question to you in that way. So you're gonna find that these are a little bit probably not always. I mean, there's going to be some that are very straightforward, but you're going to see, and by straightforward I mean familiar to you. But other ones you're going to be like, it's going to make you think for a second. So just be prepared for that. And the whole point of it is just to get you guys past that awkward, nervous feeling you may feel when you take your actual AP test. And so that's the point of this. So it's only worth 25 points instead of 100. And every week that you improve, once again, I will bump up your previous weeks, all of the weeks, so we're gonna have 4. So let's say on your, let's say you've been getting 70s every week, but on your last week you get a 90, they all become 90s. So that's your goal, to really stick with us on all this review stuff and really try to keep pounding that stuff into your mind and learn it. So this is the final stretch. This is the time when you want to go all out and give it your all to try to give it your best, so that way you guys are ready. So now my original plan with getting you guys ready for your AP test was getting you ready for like May 1st or 2nd. Okay. And I'm going to stick to that plan because there are a couple of students, not very many actually, but there were a couple who decided they want to do the earlier test. But the good news is after May 2nd, you guys, we're going to slow way the heck down. We're going to slow way. You guys are going to be very happy. You're going to be able to breathe a little bit. We're still going to be prepping for the AP exam, doing lots of practices and stuff like that. But as far as homework looks and stuff like that, I really plan on just slowing down, maybe throwing in a lot of extra credit. But I will say that this month of April is going to be a race. So, we've ran the first, and not 9K. We want to run that last 1K with all of our breath. Okay, so that's what we're in for right now. Well, anyway, here's all of your assignments. Let's take a look at how I set it up for this week. So today we're going to talk about just what you guys can expect and how to prepare for your AP exam, how this week's going to look, stuff like that. I've got your homework written down here for you. And once again, I'm recommending that you guys stick to the schedule I give you guys. But I've got the times down here, so if you want to jerry-rig it to fit your own time schedule, that's fine. Just incorporate these time schedules, okay? And in case you guys don't know, there is no school on Wednesday, so that'll give you a little bit of a break there. Thursday, though, will be our first in-class practice AP test. And I try to leave Saturday blank with these review days. One reason is in case you need to catch up and get some stuff in. Another reason is I might throw in some Saturday review sessions at some point. I definitely want to do a Saturday testing session where you guys take a full-on AP test. I would rather do it in person, so I don't know what it's going to look like. You know, as time continues ticking on, I doubt we'll be able to do it. But the reason I think that's important, you guys, is because even I myself, when taking a test for like 3 hours, after the first hour, my brain starts to go a little bit numb, and I start to wonder, am I even doing this right anymore? I forget what's up and what's down, what's left and what's right. So I want you guys to get used to that experience of feeling what it's like to sit there and do math gruelingly, intensely for 3 hours straight. Some of you guys are thinking, Mr. Bailey, the way you assign homework, we've already got this down, dude. I know, sorry. But that'll be an option. You don't have to do it. If I do the practice 3-hour AP exam, that'll just be an option for you. I usually make it like extra credit or something, and you can see what kind of score you're going to get. But all right. So that's pretty much the plan. I'll let you guys look at it from there. But let's talk about some AP testing stuff. So I just made a quick little PowerPoint slide, and all this stuff, by the way, is on Google Classroom. So if you go up to the very top on the classwork page, it's going to say AP testing information, and I've got the slide in here and the another sheet I'm going to go over with you in a second here. Now, if you guys do have questions, by the way, feel free to just put them in the chat box. I am recording this, as I mentioned earlier. Nobody's icons or anything is in the screen. But if you have questions, put them in the chat box and I can address them. I'm recording this just in case someone's not going to be here today. All right. Anyway, so in school testing, this is what we're defaulted for, you guys. It's going to be Monday, 24th, 8 a.m. Hopefully you guys are morning thinking people because it will be an earlier test. You're going to want to have 2 pencils with you just in case one doesn't work. They recommend having 2 pens, blue or black. You want to make sure that you have a watch that doesn't have any internet access. You want to be able to watch your time, but you can't have like an iWatch or something like that. They won't allow it. It says up to 2 approved calculators. Now, I'm sure you guys aren't going to have 2 calculators. Those things are $150. So just bring the one that you have and bring some backup batteries. But that's my recommendation. Now, testing days quite a ways away. We've almost got 2 whole months ahead of us for that. But this will be on Google Classroom for the remainder of the time. Now, some of you guys might decide to do the digital test because some of you guys are not wanting to come back to school in person. You have that option, and I'm including this slide for you to read on your own time. Okay, but once again, if you want to read it, just go to the Google Classroom, click on the AP Testing Information tab, and you'll find it. Okay. So there's 2 slides here for you guys. If you plan on doing the purely digital one, then I would suggest you take some time today and read those. Right. Now, I do want to say this. Here are 3 reasons why I would discourage you guys from doing the digital at-home test. Now, if you're concerned about your health, fine, or the health of your family, you got to do what you have to do. But I'm just saying, if you're doing it out of convenience or something like that, I would highly discourage it, and here's why. I believe the questions will be formatted differently. Now, the College Board people say that it won't be, but I think it probably has to be to some extent. The reason for that is because when they're doing their digital tests at home, they have to make them so you can't cheat on them. And there's lots of very creative ways that people can cheat with distance learning. And so if you guys just do the one in the school, then your tests are going to look like they've always looked for the past 20 years, which is what I've been preparing you guys for all year. If you do an at-home test, I don't know how they're going to be formatting those questions to avoid the cheating. It could be changing the way they word things. I don't know. I would just say it's possible they're going to change the format in such a way that it maybe look a little bit more foreign than it already will. Second of all, College Board has put a lot of time into it this year. Last year it was pretty nasty. I mean, they did a pretty good job with what time they had. I was very impressed. However, I still had some students that had technology issues. Um, and I can say this is the first time they're doing what they're doing this year. The way that they're doing it this year is still new. They've had a lot of time to put it together. A lot of smart people probably did it. So it's probably going to have a lot less issues, but I will say they've never done it this way before. And therefore, I would expect some possible technical issues. So I had some students last year, they worked really hard. They did the whole test and they couldn't even upload it. Something happened at the end. So I would highly discourage it. Here's the biggest reason that I'm recommending. It's the third one, and actually, it's the reason why College Board itself is only offering one digital at-home option for calculus. Every other option for taking the test is in person, whether you take it early or later. And it's because last year, the way they did it was you could write all your math down on paper and just take a picture of it with your cell phone and upload it. You are not allowed to use your phone at all. You're not allowed to write with pencil at all. It's 100% on the computer. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried typing math, but it's very tedious, very time consuming, and stressful. So if you take the digital at home test, you're going to have to know how to type, how to do integrals. Do you know how to look up an integral on your whatever software they're going to provide you with? Do you know how to type derivatives? Do you know how to write the fraction form of a derivative? All that kind of stuff, the notation. It will be different, and I would highly discourage it. It took me years to learn how to type math really well, just using Word and stuff as a math teacher, because I have to make worksheets. I could imagine how stressful it would be as an AP student trying to figure out how to type math on the day of a really big test. So these are 3 reasons why I would highly discourage the digital at-home test. You know, you guys have put in a lot of time, and you want to avoid as many things coming out of left field as possible. Okay, and so this is the reason why I would discourage the digital at-home test, but it is, of course, up to you. If you do decide to do the digital at-home test, the way that you would do it is you don't even tell us really as a school. You still have to sign up for it with the College Board, I think, but it's really treated more like and I should have put this on there too, it's treated more like a makeup exam. So I'm going to type this on here. Let's say you have an issue. Let's say you have one of those technical issues that come up. This is your last opportunity to take the test, because it's really more considered more to be a makeup test than it is just another option. And so if something goes wrong here, you're done. There's no makeup opportunity. So I would just highly discourage it. I would highly discourage the digital at-home test, but like I said, you have the option. But the way, if you want to do it, is basically you just don't show up on the day of the paper pencil test, and then you contact College Board to get your digital one going. So there's that information. Another sheet that I attached to the Google Classroom was this thing, and it's just something you guys might want to print out and have handy in your notebook. Just a couple of tips and things to keep in mind as you guys are getting ready for your AP exam, okay? Your calculator needs to be set to radians, not degrees. I emphasize that. It's so important. You could be the smartest kid in the world. You could do perfectly on your test. You're going to fail the AP exam because you forgot to set it to radians instead of degrees. Now, the good news is your calculators are always defaulted to radians anyway. But so unless you're changing it to degrees on your own, then you should be fine. But you might want to look at it just in case. Things that you want to know how to do on your calculator are listed here. So if you don't know how to do any of those, you might want to let me know. General AP test taking strategies. Read your questions carefully, underline the important information, pay attention to your units, and know your vocabulary. I'm giving you guys flashcards every week. Hopefully you guys are using those. You really want to have all those formulas ready to call up in your mind, all that vocabulary, very familiar, all those strategies quick and ready for the grab. So be using those flashcards if you have time. I know you guys are busy. Multiple choice sections. The score is based on the number of correct answers. There's no points deducted for wrong answers, and there's no points awarded for blank answers. Okay, so if you're completely clueless, in other words, let's see, no points awarded. Well, if you're completely clueless on a question, then if they don't take points away for wrong answers, then you might as well take a guess. So in other words, leave nothing blank. Free response question. X out the information that you don't want graded. Don't waste time erasing. So if you X anything out, they won't look at it. Keep that in mind. Write clearly, specifically, and accurately. Label and identify accurately and specifically things. So if a problem refers to a function g of x, don't call it f of x. When referring to anything, be very clear. So here's a good and a bad example of a way to say something. Okay, the function f of x is increasing on the interval from 0 to infinity. Here's a bad way of saying it. It is increasing on the right side of the graph. Okay, when you have an infinite continuum from left to right, there really is no such thing as a right side. So talking about a right side is ambiguous. So using this is better. And I've been emphasizing all year long, you never refer to a function as it. Okay, so I'm just giving you guys some examples. Be very clear. Your graphs should have labeled axes and numbered axes. Don't just draw lines with no numbers on them. Use standard mathematical notation accurately. Okay, don't make up your own symbols. For example, in this class, to save time, I've been using this POI. You guys know that means point of inflection, right? That's not standard mathematical stuff, and I told you that as we went over it. Don't write that on your FRQ. You can do it on your notes. You could do it on your homework, but it stands for points of inflection. On your test, write point of inflection. Use your vocabulary accurately. This is one of those other things that you want to know how to do is store numbers on your calculator, but more specifically, make sure you guys know how to round to 3 decimal places. And please, please, please remember that you're not required to simplify answers on your AP exam for FRQs. So like if you're writing a what do they call it, a tangent line, leave it alone. Unless they ask you to do something with it later and you need to simplify it, just leave it alone. Once you plug it in, you're done. Move on. Don't simplify stuff and risk getting it wrong. Here's how you know when you don't need to simplify anymore. As soon as the calculus stops. If all the simplification is pre-algebra or pre-calculus stuff, involving simplifying like what sine of pi or doing distribution, combining like terms, it's a waste of your time. Don't do it, and you want to just leave it as it is. I know it feels awkward and weird, but you can do it. How do they score this thing? Only whole points are awarded on the FRQ. So if they, I've been having you guys look up how they score these things all year long. There's no such thing as a half a point on an FRQ. They only give full points. So you either get the point or you don't. For problems with units are generally awarded 1 point for the whole problem. So if you use units accurately at 1 point but fail to do so later, you will lose the whole point. So they want you. So for instance, you guys know on an FRQ there's usually multiple questions, right? Well, if every question says include units with your answer, even if you did all the units correctly on all the other problems, if you did that same kind of unit wrong on another problem, then they may take away that whole point. So they only give 1 point for units usually. If the problem requires an explanation, the explanation is usually worth 1 to 2 points. You show all your work. They don't give you any credit for what they call a bald answer. A bald answer is an answer with no work. I did see that on some of your guys' Unit 7 tests last Thursday. You've got to show your work. It's tempting to do that, especially when it's a calculator type question, because the calculator does all the work. But you still have to show the formula that you typed in. Finally, if you're going to use a calculus theorem like the mean value theorem or the intermediate value theorem or the extreme value theorem, you have to state the requirements that are in place, the hypotheses that are required to use that theorem, like the function is continuous and differentiable on blank. And for those types of questions, you guys, I've already trained you exactly how to say them. So I almost made it like a little script for you about what you need to say. Like you guys remember the intermediate value theorem where it says, you know, since the function goes from m to n on the interval a to b, there must be a value k such that f of c equals k. So something like that. Those are the types of questions I'm talking about there. This is, once again, I don't expect you to remember everything I just said today, but my hope is that you guys would print this out, have it in your notebook, reference it every once in a while, maybe look over it once a week before you take your practice AP test, and just kind of have all these facts and tips locked into your mind. All right, so that's it. Oh, I know what I want to do. There's one more thing before we call it a day today. This week, one of your assignments is you're going to take some notes on derivative concepts and applications. And then after that, you're going to have two worksheets for that. One is what I call basic. And by basic, I mean these are questions that we've seen before. Okay, these are questions that we've done in this class. Now, I want you guys to notice that for the basic worksheet, you're not doing the entire worksheet. You're just doing these specific numbers that I've assigned you. Okay, so make sure you look in the instructions to know what numbers you're doing. Altogether, it makes 20 questions. So there is two worksheets, part 1 and part 2, and each of them have a video. Now the videos, once again, I hope you guys don't just sit and watch the video and copy what I do. You could do that, but I wouldn't do that. You're not going to learn well. You really want to start doing these things on your own. The videos are there just in case you get stuck and you want to know how to do a particular problem, okay? I do more problems in this video in particular for part 2 because it's actually just our Unit 5 study guide. It's me going through the entire worksheet, but you're only doing these problems. You're just going to fast forward to the ones that you want help with, okay? So that's for the basic worksheet. Now, there's an advanced worksheet, if you will, and this is a new type of assignment for you guys. It's College Board. So this week, you guys are going to have an assignment on College Board. Has anybody in this class, just type yes in the chat box, has anybody in this class not had an assignment given to them on College Board yet by one of your classes? I'll say it again just in case. Has anybody in this class not had an assignment given to them by any of their classes on College Board yet? All right. So Isaac, it looks like it's just yourself. So that's good. We can work on it if you need help. Now for the so Conacher, you're another one. Okay. So we'll see how it goes for you guys. Basically, can somebody in here help me? Because I only know the teacher end of things, and I get a little confused on College Board. Someone who is already working on College Board with some of their other AP classes, can you put in the chat box what the website is that you go to? It's like AP class or something like that. I forget. Can someone type it in the chat box for us all? Thanks, Esarelli. So anybody who's not familiar with the how to get there, it looks like there's no www if we've got it typed in there right. It's just apclassroom.collegeboard.org. So I'm gonna click on that and see what it looks like real quick. I'll just type it in with it's not cutting and pasting for some reason. I'm doing the College Board assignments because of two reasons. One is I want you guys to get used to working on College Board. In case you decide to do the digital test, I want you guys to be familiar with their format. Another reason is because I want you guys to actually have some actual College Board type questions because they're the ones that make your test. All right. So once you get in here, you're going to type in your username, and then you're going to type in your password, and then you should be able to go. Does anybody, is this what your sign-in page looks like, you guys, whenever you sign into AP Classroom? Okay, good. And when you sign into this, does it take you right to your classes, or do you have to click on something else? Awesome. So it takes you right to your classes. Very good. All right. So there, once you're in there, I assume you would just find whatever class you're registered to, and everybody should be registered to us already. If you signed up for your AP test, you should already be registered into the class. If not, you're gonna have to hit me up in office hours, and we'll figure out what's going on there. But once you're in, you're gonna look for an assignment that. Let me stop sharing for a second so I can sign in, and then I'll start sharing again in a second. So give me like a couple seconds and I'll start sharing. So once you guys get signed in, you're going to see your classroom. Conductor, I hope you don't mind. I'm using your name here. It won't show any of your personal information other than your name there, but hope you don't mind. But once you're there, you're going to click on the button here that says Assessments. And once you're under Assessments, you'll see anything that's been assigned to you by me. And for me this week, it's the one called Derivative Concepts and Applications. And once you click on it, you'll begin. Now, for this assignment, you are going to submit it on College Board, but I also want you guys to upload the work that you're doing, like the handwritten work that you're going to have to do to get the problems done, to me on Google Classroom. Okay, so you're going to submit it on College Board, and that way you guys can see your scores and how well you're doing. But you are going to upload the handwritten work that you did to accomplish the problems to me on Google Classroom. And once again, I did the video, and you could just watch the whole video and copy me the whole way through. I don't advise that. I really want you guys to get used to that testing experience. There will be some questions on there that maybe catch you up, out of left field a little bit. You're like, what the heck is that? And that's normal. I want you guys to start getting used to the variety of ways these questions can be asked. The last question in particular on this one is going to really make you guys think. But it's really not anything that we haven't learned or already been prepared for. It's just that it's worded in such a way that you're like, I don't know. So that's going to be normal, and I want you guys to get used past that idea. But I also want you guys to know that on all these tests and AP things, you're graded like an AP exam, which means that like a 65%, I believe, on the AP exam, like getting 65% of the questions right or 65% of the points is actually passing. That's a 3, which means that in my class, if you actually can pull off a 3 on your AP exam, I'm going to give you an A in the class. So that's good. So don't be surprised. That you guys are all really smart kids. You're used to getting like 100% on every test and stuff. Don't be surprised that you might end up getting like D's on these things, which you guys will probably think, well, Mr. Bailey, I've been in your class for a year. I kind of already gotten used to that. Don't worry, we'll take care of your grades at the end. Just keep up your end of the job of doing the work, and you'll probably be able to pick those grades up so long as you're doing your work and doing your best. If you pass that AP exam, automatic A both semesters. That's a pretty dang good deal. So hopefully you guys take me up on it. But anyway, that's all I have to share with you guys. So unless you have any questions for me today, I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to let you guys go and do whatever you want to do for the rest of the day. I wasn't sharing my